Hello everyone, my name is Gibbous and welcome back to another episode of AirSimWorld. Now today we are going to continue our journey to growing to the largest airline in this world. And from last time we actually went on a massive buying spree. As you can see, our airline balance took quite a hit, but right now we're back up to $1.4 billion, and from that last buying spree, yesterday or 2 days ago, the airline value has increased quite a bit. So there is this one route from last time that I remember that we need to get more aircraft for. And I'm pretty sure it was the one to not Oakland, the other one to Mexico. So let's go to Mexico airport, the route. And there we go. So, yes, plenty of supply demand. So, we'll make use of that and add more flights. So the route distance is 1,600, so pretty much any aircraft we have should be able to make the flight. Now I'm actually tempted to use a 747-400 over here, but the turnaround times is just so long that it's not worth sending it on a short route. So instead of sending one large aircraft multiple times, we're gonna send a lot of smaller aircraft instead. So we've got these smaller aircraft, the MD-83s and MD-88s. The only difference is that the 83s go slightly further. So we've got 4 MD-88s, and we're going to be using them today to send them on the flight between Washington and Mexico. So let's start off with the flight there. Turnaround time of half an hour. So the plane will be ready at 4:28, that means 4:58, so 0459. And the flight back, 8:27, that means 0858. The flight there. And I'll just keep repeating this. 12:26, that means at 12:57. And we'll fit in one more route. 16:25, that means that's 16:56, and the return trip 2024, so at 20:55 we'll be able to send the return flight. Now hopefully that should barely fit into the schedule. There we go, fit into the schedule perfectly. Now that's actually quite a good fit. And let's see, we are at 5,000 supply, we're up to 8,700, so that means we've got 3,700 supply with the new aircraft we added. So let's see, we still got the whole market share. No one has spotted this route yet, so let's make the most of it and put some more aircraft on. Now I know you guys are kind of sick of watching this slow process, and I'm pretty sure the episodes will be getting shorter as I kind of don't repeat things as much anymore. So 0459, and it's pretty much just very repetitive after a while, but of course the idea of expanding your airline is still there. So 58. Anyways, I'm going to be starting to edit a little bit more heavily on this, because even though it might take some more time, the videos will be getting shorter, and hopefully you guys will enjoy those videos a little more. Not like you guys are enjoying it that much in the first place. Anyways, so we've got 2024, so 55, and that's the last flight. Hit save. Let it save, and then once it's saved, close the window. So we're actually going to use up the entire fleet of MD-88s to just cover this one route here, and all the demand there is for the route, which will get us quite a bit of income, which is a good thing, a really good thing. And it seems like that there's less passengers, so we might need to adjust the price, but until then I will add the remaining MD-88s, and yeah, I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so I have used every single MD-88 at my disposal, and we still have quite a bit of demand left. I'm a bit on the fence if I should add an MD-83 or order another MD-88 and then add it to the route later. Of course, the load factor isn't 100% anymore, but 100% load factor doesn't exactly mean the maximum amount of profit. So I don't think I'll be messing with the price for now. Maybe I'll mess with it a bit, but maybe not. Anyways, I'll just add one more plane, because why not? And there we go. I've assigned one more aircraft to it. It was a little bit of the waste, I guess. A little bit of waste because it had a lot more potential to fly further routes, but I don't think I'll ever come back to this route. Maybe if I do remember, then I'll come and replace the flight, but for now, we've got all the demand taken up as far as I will want to take it. So, on we go to find a new location to fly to. So let's see. Oh, that's not a DCA, not DCL. Anyways, let's see. Okay. I'm not sure if Brazil's airport code is in here, because I'm not sure what Brazil's airport name is. This is another feature that I have requested them to do to check by country, because not all airports have a country name in it. So let's just quickly double check. Okay, there we go. So, and yeah, as you can see, this is an airport in Brazil, but it doesn't have Brazil or the city name. In this case, this city over here, no idea what it is, in the name. There's quite a bit of demand actually, but the distance is very long, 4,000 nautical miles. I don't think, yeah, only my 747s can actually serve this route. Which could actually be better served flying to Europe, which I think has higher demand. Either way, there should be some cities in Argentina that I could fly to. Let's see, Buenos Aires. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Ministro Airport. Okay, there's not enough demand to warrant flying here. Either way, let's see if we can fly to somewhere in Poland, Germany. Maybe let's fly to Paris. Okay, so let's see if we can fly to Charles de Gaulle, which is in Paris, if I remember correctly. Okay, just north of Paris. That might be not worth it actually. Let's see if we can fly further. Let's see if we can fly to Vienna. That might be a good idea. Okay, Vienna is not that much. Maybe flying to Asia somewhere. Okay, let's see if flying to Tokyo Haneda Airport would give. That's a lot of demand, and definitely within range of our 747s. So let's see if we can book in a 747. I'm pretty sure we'll only manage 2 return flights tops. So let's fly this out. 1. Oh, maybe only 1 return flight actually. We've got a 17-minute turnaround time, so 12:42 would turn into 13:52. So 13:53. and I doubt that we'll be able to squeeze that in. Yes, so that is just a tad bit too far, sadly. We'll need to find an airport that is slightly closer. So let's take a look at Japan's map. Let's take a look at Google Maps and see if we can find an airport, because the developer cannot pay for Google's license to operate Google Maps, so everything is in its native language because it's an open source thing. So let's see, Sapporo might be a good idea. Let's see. Okay, I'll need to look up the name. Okay, so Sapporo Airport. Not enough demand to warrant flying there. So onwards we go to look for another airport that might be closer. Maybe flying across the Atlantic might not be the best idea. Flying across the Pacific. Let's see, maybe flying to Heathrow might work out, actually. Let's take a look. London Heathrow. Okay, so there is not that much demand, and the range, the flight distance is actually quite short, and actually fits within the aircraft we have over here. This Russian aircraft. I'm not sure if it's enough to warrant flying a 747 though. Let's see if flying to maybe Hamburg or somewhere in Germany. Okay, Hamburg has even less demand. Maybe flying to Rome. Okay, so that's also not, so we'll just take Heathrow. So until we get a 747 that flies faster, we won't be able to fly across the Pacific with our current hub over here and in Washington, just because the flight time is too long that we cannot fly it back in time. What we could do is actually schedule it. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's try something new. Let's fly to Tokyo Haneda Airport. So we won't be able to fly a return trip in one day, but if we split it up, which would take quite a bit longer, but let's see. Monday only, we'll fly off at 1 o'clock, and then we'll send the return trip at, what was the time? 13:53. So 13:53 return trip. Then it will finish at 1:35 the next morning. Then we'll send the next flight on Tuesday, 1:35, so that means at 2:45 it will be ready. 02:46 we'll send off the flight again. So that means over here is when the flight will finish. So as you can see, it's like shifting the times a little bit, but this is how we can get the maximum usage out of an aircraft, where we can't fit a return trip in a single day. So let's see, 14:38, that means a 15:49 we'll send the return trip, and at 3:31 the plane will arrive. So we'll send okay, so I forgot to remove this. Let's add this. I forgot to switch around the flight, so let's switch this to Wednesday at 3:31. So 04:42 we should be ready to fly off. Switch that around. Add 16, so that means 17:24. That means a 35. We will be sending the flight back, and just rinse and repeat. So it's a bit lengthy, but this is how we can squeeze maximum efficiency out of our aircraft. So we've got at 5:17, it means 06:28. We should be able to fly off, and moving on, 18:10. That means 19:21. We can fly off. Now at this point, it's starting to get a bit off screen, which has to be fixed. And the developer will fix this eventually. He's just got so many bugs to fix. This is just an alpha release, actually. It's not even in its beta phase, so we're pretty much just playtesters. Not even an open playtest. So let's see, at 7:03, so that means 08:14, we should be able to send the next flight. And change the direction. 1956, that means 21:07. And there we go. Then we'll turn this around again and select a Saturday. 8:49, that means 10 o'clock. And then that might be a little tight, but we'll be able to fit it on a Saturday. 21:42. 22:53. There we go. And now this isn't enough to fit another return trip on a Sunday, so we'll just leave it like this, find a shorter route, and send the plane on that instead. So let's see how much supply we give this demand. Oh, that's actually quite minuscule. 4,000. So we've got business and economy flight tickets. We'll adjust the price later, but I will be back after adjusting these next two 747s. See you then. Okay, there we go. All three of our 747s have been sent off on a flight between Washington and, what is this, Japan's Haneda Airport in Tokyo. We're fulfilling currently about 12,000 supply, but we've got 50,000 demand, so we can definitely put a lot more aircraft on this. This flight is actually about approximately 6,000 nautical miles, so we could find an aircraft that has 6,000 nautical miles range and that has a shorter turnaround time, or maybe a faster flying speed. Either way, we need to find an optimal price, so I guess I'll be starting off with 6,000. Okay, 100% load factor, so let's step it up. Once again, 100% load factor. You know what, I'll actually skip to 9,000. And business to over 9,000. Oops, I put in 1,000 by accident. Let's make that 10,000. Okay, once again, 100% load factor. Step this up. I wonder how far we'll have to go. Wow, okay, people are really willing to pay for this route. I guess because our supply is a whole lot lower than demand, so let's set this up to 14,000 and 16,000 actually. See what the people think of that.
Facebook, which is
And there we go, we've reached the limit. Set this down to 13, set this down to 14. Okay, so it seems like we've reached pretty much a dead end. For economy, let's set down business again, 13,600. So as you can see, business and economy are pretty much the same price, which is definitely an issue because, you know, that's not realistic. People pay a lot more for business, and therefore it's a lot better as well. And that's why business also makes the most money, but in this case, economy makes the most money. Okay, so this is as far as I'm willing to experiment with the price for now. We're making a good $300 million a week on this flight. And as you can see, during the whole time, we've actually gained another 200 million in profit. Now what we could do is just order a buttload of 747s and put them on this route. But let me see if we can actually fly a shorter route with our 747s to cover that last little bit left in their schedule. Kansas, Denver, Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, maybe Quebec. Let's see. Quebec International Airport. Okay, so there is a tiny bit of demand, but not really worth the 4,000 that the 747 will provide. Flight to Miami has already been taken by California Express. Let's see if we can find some bigger cities that we can fly to. Let me check. Maybe we can fly to Cuba somewhere. So we've got Havana. So Jose Mati. There we go, Havana. There is not a lot of demand flying there. Okay, so let's keep looking. If there are any large cities that we can fly to, maybe San Diego. That's good enough for one 747. So let's fly that there. So we've got the previous route over here, grayed out, and now we need to select this Sunday that we're going to fly and calculate the 70-minute turnaround time. So 10:35, that means at 11 46 we'll be able to fly. And as you can see, it's a tiny little bit, which is just right to fit in, maybe a little too short. Then we've got at 1540, that means at 1651 we should be able to fly back. And there we go. Of course, if I'm a little more picky, I could find a different destination, but this is only a single 747, just so we can use that tiny little bit of extra room. Anyways, okay, so we can actually put in all 747s and maybe our MD-83s as well. So let's actually do that. Let's select these aircraft and put them all into the flight. So let's put this on a Sunday. We'll fly them down at 11:36 and the return trip at 16:41. Okay, now a feature that I'm actually suggesting that the developer of the game does is actually allow you to make schedules for multiple aircraft at once, just so bigger airlines that have multiple aircraft and fly, multiple aircraft on the same route don't have to do exactly this, because this kind of makes the game really repetitive. And since my short-term memory isn't that good, I always need to recalculate when we can fly the return trip, for example, so 1641. And there we go, save. Send the plane on that one little journey, and maybe we can only fly our one out of our MD-83s there. But for now, we'll just schedule it in and see if it's good. So once again, we can select every single day. This is already a much improved version of the previous way you would book flights, because you had to manually input the time row by row individually. So this is already quite an improvement. So we'll just set this to 0100. Add the flight, turnaround time of 30 minutes, so at 5:42 we should be able to make the return trip. Turn around, fly back, so 9:53. That means at 24 we should be able to fly back, and return trip 14:35, so 15:06. Now I don't think that's enough to fly there and back again. As you can calculate from this, might be enough for one trip. What we could also do, instead of flying for a new location, is just fly 2 times there and 3 times back, and then 3 times there and 2 times back on the other day, so like alternate the days. But that's a little too much effort. I've already just done everything with the 747s, and anyways, we've got hopefully we've got our supply maxed out, which we do, which is good. And we need to find a shorter range location that we can fly that one little aircraft to, maybe to Dallas. To Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. And there's quite a bit of demand there too. So we've got our aircraft with not enough flight hours. As you can see, this is a maxed out aircraft over here, 145 flight hours. That is pretty much the closest we can get to a maximum, along with the 747s at 148 hours. This 117 just pales in comparison to them. So we'll select every day. We've got the 30-minute turnaround time, so 19:17. So at 19:48 we should be able to fly there. So 19:48, add flight. This might be a little tight, but we should be able to make it. 21:59, so at 22 o'clock. Not 22 o'clock? Yeah, sometimes I make calculation errors, which you can obviously see in the scheduling. Anyways, 22 o'clock, right, that was the wrong time. That would be 23 o'clock, not 22. Also not. Ah, right, 22:50, that was it. what I could do is just change this to 2230, and that would work a lot better, but it's a lot more easy to just remove every single one instead of editing manually. Now I have to remove Tuesday, so 2230, and add that in. Done. Save, hope for the best that it doesn't. Okay, so the aircraft is overbooked. This is just a slight bit too long a flight. Okay, sure. Let's see if we can fly somewhere else. Kansas looks a tiny bit closer. Kansas City International Airport. As long as there is a tiny bit of demand, we should be able to fly there. Right, we are actually already flying there. I'm not sure if I'm willing to risk it, but sure, why not? Anything, we're not going to add that much to the flight in the first place. So let's just book everything in. So 1917, that means at 1948 we should be able to fly there. Return trip 2132, that means at 2203 we should be able to make the return trip, and save, and it should have no problem. There we go. Now if the supply outweighs the demand, we will start losing passengers and we'll have to lower the prices, which is not a very good thing. But yes, once again, as you can see over here, we're starting to lose passengers and we're starting to lose income, so that was not a very good idea. I have to remove this aircraft from the route. So it seems like I underestimated the demand that my aircraft will supply. So maybe I could just add 2 flights like this on weekends, and I'll find another destination for the weekdays. That should bring our supply lower than demand, and we should have our good old aircraft price. Maybe I'll make an episode where I go around optimizing the prices for these flights to get as much money as possible out. Anyway, so let's see if we can fly to maybe Chicago. So we basically want a massive route network that all ends in the hub from Washington. That means when 0.2 comes out, we will have the infrastructure necessary. Okay, so it seems like we're already flying to Chicago, which is actually pretty unsurprising because my thoughts don't change. Let's see if we can fly to maybe Nashville. Okay, that's okay. Okay, so we'll just sneak this tiny little bit in, just so we can cover all bases and make good use of this aircraft. So let's have this at 2132. Alright, 1948, my bad, I looked at the wrong time. And also I planned in the weekends even though the plane is not available at that time. So let's just redo that, remove the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, and we'll put in 1948. Then we'll have a turnaround, fly back after 30 minutes turnaround time, 2050, that means at 21:22 21 we should be able to send the return trip. Save. And there we go. And we'll need to fly another shorter route to make use of that tiny little bit. This is getting kind of tight. Let's see if we can get to Raleigh. Which is an okay demand, so let's take that. And once again we'll take this aircraft to maximize its flight time, because when an aircraft is on the ground it's not making money. Okay, so we'll need to take into consideration the 30-minute turnaround, So at 22:23, that means at 22:54 we should be able to send it off. And once again, this tiny little bit, we need to send this off. At 23:19, that means at 23:50 you should be able to send this flight off, and it will loop around to the next day, which should be fine according to the system, because the old system didn't allow flights that went across this border here, so across the next day, and the system would just break. I'm happy that the developer fixed that, which means we could actually, really optimize the flight. So now it's time to optimize the price. This should just be maybe a good $1,000 or less. Okay, so it seems like no one's willing to pay $1,000. Let's bring this down to 600 and see what they think of that. Okay, once again, no one's willing to pay $600. We'll bring this down to 400 and see what they think. Okay, so we're just making a tiny bit of profit, not even $1 million, but it's something. So we've got a few more aircraft that are sitting idle, but I kinda don't want to stretch this video too long, even with heavy editing. This will be quite a long video, so I'll leave this one MD-83 to the next video. Either way, let's go to the new marketplace and take a look at some new aircraft that we can buy. So we're looking for an aircraft that has a range of 6,000 nautical miles. I don't think there is an aircraft that has that precise number. We have either too long with the 747 or too short with pretty much anything else. And oh, we've got a 767 200 extended range. That should actually do quite nicely. Capacity is relatively small, but it should work out. Now, as I said, in real life they want to try and maximize actual high class things, but because it hasn't been exactly patched out yet, I'm going to make this an all economy class configuration, just so we can maximize the amount of people flying. And there we go. So we'll head down to the 767 once again. There we go, Boeing 767 200ER. The 300ER can't really make that journey, so we'll just fly some Pratt & Whitneys. So we'll just order a good 2 of them. That'll be a $400 million. Moving on, let's see if we can buy some more 747s. Okay, so the 747 is over here. It's got quite a lot of range. What we could actually do is just since they're all the same speed, it doesn't really matter that much, and there isn't really, the only difference is the range and the price of the engine, and the price doesn't really matter that much, not like money is that tight. So we'll be taking the engine with the longest range, just so the plane is more flexible in the future. We'll take the Pratt & Whitney 4602 once again, take the good old 2-class configuration, and order possibly 4 of them. Let's see how much that will be. Okay, so we've pretty much expended all our remaining capital. Let's once again take a look at the overview of our airline and see how we have expanded this time. So you can see this massive route across the Pacific Ocean, which is surprising because I actually planned on going across the Atlantic first, all the way to Japan's Tokyo airport here. And we've expanded our regional US routes, including long ones all the way across to the west coast, and ones that spread to the middle of the US. Once again, we've got a lot more aircraft, and we're expanding it by 6 for the next episode. So next episode we'll be working on a few more routes, and we'll be scheduling in another 7 aircraft. So, I'm Gibbous signing off to the next episode. Have a nice day.
Life O'Reilly.